Fierce ladies, welcome to the Moms in Real Estate podcast, where we unleash our unapologetic power to share the raw truth of our journeys. Brace yourself for a dose of empowerment, education, and encouragement like never before. I'm Kristen, a relentless entrepreneur obsessed with connecting and uplifting fellow boss babes. In this podcast, we're all about getting down to business, conquering motherhood, nurturing relationships, and so much more. Get ready to dive into the nitty-gritty, embrace the hustle, and unravel the secrets of success in the world of real estate. We're here to ignite your fire, equip you with the knowledge, and unleash your limitless potential. Tune in as we redefine what it means to be a true boss babe. All right, welcome to the Moms in Real Estate podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Debbi DiMaggio. I was a little nervous about saying her last name, but I nailed it. And you guys, she's going to be a great time because she's been in the real estate industry for 35 years. And not only has she sold real estate, but she also has wrote 4 books. She's working on her 5th one. She's a coach, and she also has a podcast, and I think a lot more that I'm not even naming. So why don't we dive in? Hi, Debbi.
Hello, how are you?
I am great. It's raining right now. I can hear it outside of our studio. I'm talking to you, which I've been looking forward to, so I'm doing good.
I know. It's finally clear here in Northern California for a minute, but we've had some rain.
Yeah, we don't get it here in Arizona at all.
Ooh, that's right. You're in Arizona. I was thinking LA. Yes, and it's so beautiful. We love Arizona.
Yeah.
So nice.
Well, why don't we get started? Why don't you tell us a little bit about, not your whole story in real estate, but 35 years ago, what even made you decide to get into real estate?
Yeah. So when people say, how did you get into real estate? I said, well, when I was growing up and then I went to Cal, graduated from Berkeley, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just thought like at some point it had hit me what I want to do. And I knew I had to work and I wanted to have purpose and meaning. I just didn't know what it was going to be. And I always said, the only thing I don't want to do is real estate because my father is in real estate. He's 86 right now. I just went to see him and my brother, and they're making an offer on a multi-unit building, and he loves it. But he was always tied to his phone. Well, remember, there were landlines back then. Mm-hmm. There was no cell phones. There was no technology, no email, anything. So when I was growing up, he was always tied to the phone, to the landline, to his office, to deals. And so it was you couldn't just go on vacation because, if something came up, in real estate, you just have to handle it. But now we have all this technology. So we can work literally from anywhere now. So when I graduated from Berkeley, I was in LA, I was 25. I was like, what do I want to do? So what I did was I actually wrote a list of things that I love. And I tried a few other jobs, but I hated having a boss. Now looking back, I was 28, 29 when I started, 27, 28 when I started in real estate. But I felt like there was those years before that I wasn't really doing what it was I was supposed to do. But what I did was, and I always like to say this in my podcast and when I'm helping and coaching my agents, I don't want them to have how I felt when I was 25 years old, when I was just so frustrated and what am I going to do with my life? So I literally wrote out things that I like. The top one was helping others. I love to help others. I wanted a job with a beginning, a middle, and an end. I wanted a job that was purposeful. I wanted to meet people all the time. I wanted to have relationships. I wanted a job I didn't want to go to a job at 9 and come home at 5 or whatever the hours are. I wanted something that was part of my life. So lifestyle realtor, which a lot of us have now become, but I wanted it to have, I just wanted to continue to meet people from different cultures. I wanted it to be different. I didn't want it to be the same. I'm not an engineer. I don't want it to be the same thing all the time. Although a lot of people, people do have those ideals of like, I don't want extra homework. I want to go to work and be done at the end of the day. That wasn't who I was. So long and the short of it, I ended up getting my license just because I wanted to have it. It was something I just wanted to have because I had some free time. And then I was working in San Francisco I was a Giorgio counter manager. I hate perfume. I've never, ever worn perfume, but I was doing some fragrance modeling. So it led into that. And of course, I didn't like it at all. And then my husband's friend said, Debbie would be really great in rentals. She should come work with us. Well, that's where it all started. I started working in rentals in San Francisco long before Craigslist. There were no listings. You would call to find maybe a property manager who had lots of rental properties, and if you rented it, you'd get a commission. So, and it was fast. There was a beginning, a middle, and an end. I was meeting people constantly, and it was filling, and I was helping people, and it was filling all these great niches, and it was in San Francisco, so it was pretty international. And then after that, it slowly turned into sales after I started working in rentals. And then my husband joined me. And then we moved to the suburbs to raise our family and start a family. And then went into full-time sales. So it's been a while. And I do have to say this one thing. So I do all the other things that we'll talk about. But the other day, my office manager called and said, your license is about to expire. And all of a sudden, it was so weird. I didn't think, with all the things that I do, I didn't think that would be so traumatic, because my husband and I have worked together for 35 years and our son works with us. All of a sudden, when she said that, I was literally in a full-scale panic. And I'm like, oh my God, who am I without a real estate license? I'm like, I'm working on all these things. I'm like, it was like having an arm cut off. It was like, how do I even exist? I can't do what I do if I don't have a license. Anyway, I was shocked how afraid I got.
Well, and thinking of taking that test again sounds terrible.
I could never sit for a test ever again.
No, I let my license expire and I had to go back to school years later, and I will never, ever do that again. No way.
Oh my God.
Well, it seems like what you've really learned how to do. And I always tell people that it's so nice when you think about this, real estate is just the vehicle to do what you're passionate about. And you basically just said that in everything you just said. You mapped out the life that you wanted to live, and real estate just happened to be the way that you're able to act all those out.
That's so true. Yeah. I always say, well, someone wrote an article about me in Unique Homes magazine, and I didn't know I'd still be talking about it since it was written so long ago. But after the editor interviewed me, she named it Accidentally with Purpose. My whole life has been accidentally with purpose. Real estate, I said I didn't want to do it. And then as I was planning, writing, mapping out my life, it happened and it fit in, but accidentally with purpose, just that tends to happen a little bit with me.
I think that needs to be my new tagline too, because that is my whole life. We're more similar than we think. I think we're going to find that the more we get to know each other, the more we have in common.
Just our 5-minute conversation we had before setting this up last week, I'm like, oh my God, we're very similar.
I know. I love it. All right. So you have 2 kids, and you had them after you and your husband had started your real estate careers, correct?
Yes. So in the womb, each of them were already little real estate people, just, learning to be social, learning to pivot and adjust. And so my daughter is 31. She lives in New York and she works for Hearst. She did get her license while she was looking for a job in entertainment or whatever she wanted to do. I said, just get your license while you're, waiting to that job to happen. She was, you put in application after application, you're networking, trying to get a job. I said, just get your license. Let me set you up with someone in New York. I wish she had stayed with this team. They were the number 1 team in New York. It's incredible. And she did it for a while. Then she got a job at Hearst Publications, and she's like, Mom, I don't really like this. I go, I know, but you're so good at it, because she's just such a connector, and she's watched us all her life. And so she now works for Hearst, doesn't want to be in the family business. And then our son, though, because of COVID, I call it the COVID fallout, he graduated from Boulder. They both went to Boulder, but he graduated from Boulder. Then he moved. Then he was going to travel for a year, and he was in India when COVID hit. So we had to do a Navy SEAL extraction to get him home.
Oh my
literally.
gosh.
That's a whole story in itself. And then he was here and staying with us, and he had planned on going back to Colorado, to Denver. And then he ended up getting his license, and then he was working as a ski bum in Breckenridge during COVID. And then he decided to stay. He said, I'm going to stay and work with you and Dad. And we were like, oh my God, I never thought that would happen. And he's such a natural. It's insane.
Oh, that's so great. And when you were talking about like your dad and you thinking, oh, I never want to do real estate, and now you're talking about your son, so many people have kids that are like, I do not want to do what my parents do, but they end up in real estate. And it's like, well, it's funny because it's such a common thing that kids say.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's crazy because he's so young. He tried a few things but I can tell he's also a lacrosse coach. He played lacrosse all his life.
Oh,
And
that's
so
fun.
he's very good with people. And he's always looked like an adult, even when he was born. So he's really good with adults. But he's the perfect mix of Adam and I. We're both social, but then he's also very patient, like my husband, and calming. And I am definitely not a calming person, but he's got that balance. But he knows so well of how to work with people and what to say, because he's been in our presence, and we've always, you're always working, you take your job with you, you're on vacation, you're on the phone. So they just, from hearing that, he's just learned so much. And even though our daughter's not in it, she knows she can recite everything that we're going to say.
Yeah. So what do you feel like, what's your role in your family business right now?
Sure. So what's really great is, so for years, Adam and I worked as agents separately. We didn't work together. He likes to be in an office and I like to be out and about. So he would go on tour and look at houses with all the other ladies. And my head's always talking. I'm always busy. I'll have to be alone because my head is constantly going. So, and then I guess I would say probably in the last 20 years, maybe we started working, 15 years, so give or take. We started working together. So it's like, he is definitely more, I've been working at home today. He's at the office. He gets up, he goes to the office. He likes to be front and center. He's also more paperwork. He's the broker of our company. So he oversees 80 agents. So he's also always in a place that he's pretty much near his computer, but he does go off too and do things, but he's pretty grounded there, and he has to be available for the agents when they call with questions. So, and he also, because he's the broker, he's the liaison with the attorney. So he's always, whatever problems coming in with another agent, he's always has a call to the attorney. And so he's got all that discipline of just knowing it inside and out. I mean, even a lot of times we know, but a lot of times agents will check with Adam, and sometimes because laws change, ordinances change, or whatever it is, he'll consult, like, okay, it's not black and white, so how do we work through this? So he's very much like that. I definitely am more, I love meeting people. So I love, I'm in a BNI group and I'm always networking. And I also do the design. So when we get a listing, usually I'll go on the listing appointment. Sometimes he'll come, but I'll go on the listing appointment. And then when we're together, that's like, okay, Adam or Chase will do the contract, and then the inspections, I'll probably lead that. And then of course I do the design work, get the bids from the contractors, the painters, et cetera, and oversee that whole process. We do that differently here. Not everyone does this. Our homes are older, not like in Arizona where there's a lot of newer homes. Our homes are 1920s. So most of the homes have to have a bit of a makeover. So I'll usually get a painting bid. I'll suggest lighting fixtures just to update the home a little bit. If we have to refinish floors or change countertops, and then do landscaping. So I'll oversee all that. So it really works out, or can you get me a buyer's agreement? I just hate sitting down and writing a contract.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's cool that you get to like work in your sweet spot. And then
Yeah.
so now your son's role, is he more like out in the community and
He's both. Yeah. He'll help now. I mean, I'm a control freak, so it's really hard to let go of anything because I like to know what's going on. So he's kind of both. Well, he's obviously more technology, has more technology skills than we do. So he does like a lot of that. So he does some of the marketing, he does the broker load sheets for the listings, he can meet inspectors, show property. He kind of does it all, but he's like he was up here working with me today. Now he's going to go to the office and work with Adam. So he's kind of mobile. He can kind of do anything. And he sometimes when we had this older client, she was so darling, and we'd have to go with the seller when the buyer came because it was a hostile tenant. And Chase would just sit with her, and and they would just sit and talk while they were waiting for the showing. And he just has such a calming personality that he didn't have to do anything but just be there with her. And he really helps. He's just really good about that. So it's so nice to be able to have different personalities, because we were also working with a hoarder, and it was a very hostile situation. And he just does, I'm very sensitive. So I just, it's very hard for me. And he's just very calming, and
He's
just, you
got
could
it.
talk to him.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I love your story because I think that a lot of agents have been in the business a long time. They've been the top producers. They've done the whole where's my next transaction coming from, and then it's like what's next, right? And so you've got this business that's up and going. And then people start to think about, okay, should I start coaching? Should I put a program out? Should I write a book? Should I do whatever it is? And you've done those things, and you're even doing more things. It seems like you're just like grabbing onto you're a doer. And so tell us, like, when you started deciding, okay, I'm going to write a book, and then now you're on your fifth book, what made you decide to go from transactions to bringing on that new project?
Right. So the books, I would call them almost therapeutic. They were therapy. It wasn't, and again, it was accidentally with purpose. I did not set out to write books. What happened was my daughter left for college. I was super sad. When you have a family of 4 and you become a family of 3, the empty nest starts when the first child leaves. So that was really hard on me. And my client said, "You talk about your kids all the time. What do you want to do?" And it was like real estate and kids and family and community. And I said, well, I always had an idea about writing a coffee table book. I can visualize, and I do have these visualizations that sit in my head until I birth them. So I said, I love travel. I love real estate. I would love to have a coffee table book that's on all of my listings. And I love to travel. And when I go to hotels, it would be nice to have a really beautiful coffee table book. And so she said, well, I want to help you with that. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I have no idea how to write a book. So as things happen accidentally with purpose, not long after she said she wanted to help me, I do a lot of charity work, and I was invited to this charity holiday party. And I thought it was just for everyone. I didn't thought it was our whole committee. I thought it was not like a small intimate group. Well, we got there and it was a small intimate group. And literally, as I walked through the door and I turned to the right, I saw this publisher, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. This is not what I just wanted to go to the party and go back. My daughter just flew in freshman year in college. I said, I have to. I said, divine intervention put him in front of me. And I didn't know him, but I knew who he was, but I knew his wife. We were on the charity together. And I said, I have to do it. And I walked up to him and I said, hi, Rob, I'm Debbi DiMaggio, and I know your wife, Leslie. And he's like, oh, Leslie loves you, blah, blah, blah. So he made it so comfortable. And I said, I don't know if you'd consider speaking with me. I know you're a publisher, and I had an idea about a book. And he said, oh, sure, call me after the holidays. So I sent him a note after the party, and he came to my office in January. Well, in that 3-week period, I had researched. I saw Kelly, it's sitting here now, Kelly Worshler's Hue book, Hue. I went through it. I went to Gumps and I looked at all the coffee table books, and I was like, I want it to be this size and it needs to be this. And I had the whole idea. The inside cover was going to be this color pink. There were going to be all these motivational words. Anyway, I had it all drawn out in a Google Doc. So when we met, he said, wow, I've never seen a book get done so fast. I'm like, what do you mean? I have nothing and I have to travel the world taking photographs. He's like, no, you don't. You can just reach out to publicists and hotels and architects, and then in exchange, you can give them 2 copies of your book. Well, long and the short of it, that happened. It was amazing. It helped me through the emptiness. So many tears. It was so weird. I used to not be able to talk about this because I would cry, and I couldn't tell you why. Anyway, from that, he said, oh, you need to write a real estate book. I'm like, oh, one day. And so that happened. And then someone in Vermont saw my book and said, you need to write 52 ways to achieve success in real estate. I said, I don't have time for that. She said, you already have it in the art of real estate. So they helped me do that. I had to just cut out a lot of words and come up with 52 rules. And then from that, during COVID, I love to help people. I'm 61 and I think you don't have to spend a ton of money. There are different ways that we can continue to be healthy and things we could do and things you don't have to I always thought when I was 40, I was going to have a facelift because everyone in my real estate company had at least two by the time they were 50. So I kept going, when am I going to have, I'm going to have to get a facelift. I'm going to have to get a facelift. And because there are certain things and you can eat healthy and exercise and do all these things, you don't necessarily need to get one, maybe one day. Anyway, so I had, during COVID, I just, again, hit my mind, beauty at any age, because age is just an attitude. So I wrote that. It was a very small book. And so that was born just because I needed to share it and get it out. And I also talk about community, the importance of community, especially as you're getting older. I have older clients, and I'm sure you may too. And there's people when their husband or when their spouse or partner dies, they have no one, and they don't have community. So you need to start building community, later as well, because when our kids go, or some people don't have kids. So it's super important. And then this last book, the book that's you can pre-order now, called working title, The Mindset in Motion Method. That book happened. It was about 3 months ago. I was sitting at home. My husband, it was a Sunday afternoon. He said, I'll go do the open house. You don't have to do it. And I said, all right. Well, on Instagram, I always get all these different things to buy. I don't even see my friends because they're always hitting me up on something to buy or try or do. It was this guy, he looked like a surfer, and he was talking about some program, and I didn't really know what it was. And he just looked like a surfer from Malibu. Well, it ended up being, he was talking about a TED Talk. And I thought, well, every year I always do something. Last year, when I was turning 60, out of the blue, I decided to run the LA Marathon, and I did with no training. And that was kind of the catalyst of this book, The Mindset in Motion Method. And so as I bought the course, I thought, well, I'll buy the TEDx course. I don't know if I'll do it, but let me try. So I was going through all the courses, answering all the questions. And as I was trying to fine tune my message, I realized I had too many different things, but what was it that I could speak on for 15 minutes that I would be so easy that I can talk, and I had gone through years of the empty nest. I can talk about that forever, but I'm kind of tired of it now. And I got over it, but it took a long time, but I went through a lot. And that's one of the things I like to coach on. There is a way to help yourself through that. Anyway, so as I was going through it, and I started writing and writing and writing to find clarity. And then it hit me, oh God, I have to write another book because there's so much in my head. And so long and the short of it, the Mindset in Motion Method began. And what I did was I reversed engineered all of the goals and things that I achieved in my life and brought that to this book that I have birthed. And you can pre-order it, mindsetinmotionbook.com. And I'm at the last couple chapters, and I thought it was I just wanted to do a small book, but then I got hooked up with a book coach. And when you start talking to someone, they extract so much. And as you're talking, they're typing. And I'm like, where did all that come from? It wasn't supposed to be that long. Anyway, that's what I'm working on now.
Hello, it's Barbara from Your Tax Coach, and today's tax tip is all about travel. Now, one of the cool things about being a real estate agent is that anyone can be a client of yours. Anyone can buy a house, sell a house, and you can travel all over the world looking for more properties, researching different markets. So make travel work for you. If you want to see luxury listings in Miami or check out a new listing in Scottsdale, combine it with a business conference or even retreats, you can deduct business travel. And you don't even have to be doing business the whole time. If you're traveling domestically, only 50% of the days need to be business related. So let's say there's a retreat in Florida that you would love to attend and it's 3 days long. You can travel for 6 days and still write off your airfare, hotels, all the meals, alcohol, transportation, Ubers, Airbnbs, and it's all a business deduction. So stop letting your accountant tell you no and follow us on Instagram at Your Tax Coach. And if you want hundreds of other deductions that you might be missing out on, you need to get our Write Off Your Life course. Just go to writeoffyourlifecourse.com.
Yeah, well, I love it because I think so many people do so much preparation before they ever do anything. And what you just told me is you just like did it. It just like kind of happened, and you just went with it. And the right people were put in your place to help execute it. And you also said something that's super important to me is like community as you're getting older. Well, I even teach my kids since they could talk to me, right? I'm like, community is so important. It really is. Like even as a young kid, like it's
Yes.
everything in life. It's where all the opportunities are going to come from. And so even like on the playground, we've got to be in community and making friends, and it takes effort. And so it makes me so sad because there are so many people who it's like, they go to pick up the phone because they're having a bad day at work and they have nobody to talk to about it. They're ready to like throw in the towel in real estate because it sucks sometimes. And it's like, you better be able to pull out your phone and call at least 5 people and say, I need to
Right.
talk through this with somebody. But you can't do that if you don't put effort in right now. So I'm super passionate about that.
Yeah.
If you had to say which book of the 5 books is your favorite like experience writing it, which one would it be?
Oh yeah, for sure. Contain beauty photographs, reflections in swimming pools. That just came from the heart. There's writing. There's not too much writing because the point is, and people who pick it up, some people get it. Like some people will read and they'll tear up, not because it's sad, but because they feel. So when I went to, I'm 100% Sicilian. I'm from here, but I'm 100% Sicilian. So the first time I went to Italy, I remember I was in San Remo, and I remember going into the restroom and coming out, and there's this big, huge, beautiful mirror, and I remember looking at myself, and I was tan, and I do look very, very Italian, and I was like, oh my God, these are my people. This is where I'm from. And so, whether you're Korean or Jewish, I remember a Korean gal, that's why that comes up first. She said, when I was reading that passage, she's like, oh my God, this is, know where you come from. So, there's not a lot of words, there's few stories, very short, there's beautiful imagery. It's like, get that coffee table book, sit down with a glass of wine or a cup of tea, go through, listen, read the pages, and just kind of, well, for me, swimming pools make me imagine and think, and not, you don't have to be in it, but just looking at a pool just offers so much inspiration. So it's very inspiring, and it's a beautiful coffee table book.
Nice. Okay, everyone has to check that out. We'll make sure to have all of your books and even the ability to pre-order your new one in the show notes. If you're listening, you'll want to make sure to go check out the show notes. Okay, so what I want to end on the conversation today is we're both super passionate about holistic health. And so I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm going to let you lead it because I know we both were like talking about it. I'm like, let's just talk about it on our show.
Absolutely. Well, I have so much to learn from you and you can share your story in a second. So I just think, like, first of all, when I wrote Beauty at Any Age, I was thinking of my mother-in-law, believe it or not. I wasn't thinking of some young person. I was thinking of my mother-in-law who was in her 80s. She moved from Marin to the East Bay, which was an hour distance. Her friends were there. She moved to a brand new community. She found community. She joined all these different clubs. She started playing golf in her 70s, I think, or early 80s. She just really embraced life. She also exercised all the time. She ate really well. I mean, she just was the epitome of health. And so I think that by watching her, then I went back with what I thought, how, people had to have facelifts, and it's going to cost, okay, what's going to cost $40,000 or whatever, it's like, then you have to do these things. So I just broke it down, and like, and then now there's so many people and there's so many things that there's just so much content out there for us to learn. It's amazing. So I just wanted to put it into a little book, and it's like eating healthy and exercising. And now on Instagram, I see all these exercises about lymphatic drainage. So you'll see me doing this and this and this and this. And oh my God, I'm like, I'm sending through Instagram to all my friends and family, like, got to do these exercises.
Well, you know how you were saying like the Instagram stories and you're like, I just buy it. I bought I love lymphatic drainage, but I bought like the brush for your face. Like, don't get Botox, do the little whatever. I do it all the time. And so it's so funny.
I have like 4 of those things. I accidentally ordered 2 one time, but yeah, you're like, and then there's things like recently I started, so there's all the basic stuff. And yes, Botox helps, and, different things. But there's so many things you can do preventative before having to, to do the other things. But one of the things that I'm doing right now, and I'm not a scientist, but it's peptides, and that helps with your skin. And it's pretty big out there. I guess I just started it, and your skin does feel better. And there are so many things. So when I learn about something, I have to share it. Or red light therapy. Same. That's a whole other one. And then let's go into colonics. Tell them about what happened to you.
Oh gosh. Well, what's funny is I haven't shared my health journey on my own podcast. I've talked about it on other people's, but the long story short is I have had stomach issues my whole life, and it got really bad after I had kids, and my oldest son's 10. And so I've just been like kind of relying on my holistic hormone doctor for a long time, and was like, please, like, fix me. I was worse than I ever was after working, and it's nothing against her. Like, she's a hormone specialist. She's not a gut specialist, right? So I ended up taking things into my own hands at the beginning of the year, and I started seeing different people. And what I found was this amazing guy. His name's Larry. He told me he has to pump the brakes on me sending him people because he's so booked out. I've literally sent him so many people. I'm like, I can't stop talking about you. But he does muscle testing and body frequency testing. And so he found, I call him Voodoo Larry, he found that I was walking barefoot when I was 9, and I got cellular parasites. And they basically, from age 9, I'm 39. So for 30 years, it has created this environment in my body that just is a hot mess. Like I had SIBO, which is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. I had Candida, which a lot of us suffer from. We don't even know it. I had cellular parasites, which are a complete nightmare to get rid of. There's, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of them. And then, other gross parasites that all of us have, but my body was just such a great host for them, and he was explaining to me, like, we could be at dinner with 10 people eating sushi, and 5 of us are totally fine. We have the bodies that are good. Then we've got the other 5 who are not so great, right? And so we're just going to be able, like, the parasites that are on the sushi are going to affect all of us different. And so I just happen to be, a great host for those little suckers. And so I've spent since June 11th, I started detoxing them. Right now, what's today? November 18th. I've cleared out almost everything except for my protozoa, which is the cellular parasites. I think I'm almost done with them, but it's been insane. So you asked me about lymphatic drainage and colonics and the HOCAT. So I just kind of jumped all in, and I do all of it. And Larry guides me on like what he thinks I should do. He tests me every 6 weeks so we know what my levels are at. And I'm just so grateful for him as a resource. My kids go to him. My husband goes to him. My kids had stomach aches every single day for a while, and I took them there, and they both had Candida. One had mold from school. And so it's so cool because people told me when I was sick, find the root cause. I'm like, what does that mean, right? I did not know what they were talking about, and nobody helped me find the root cause. No one. And so finally, when I went to him, he was looking for parasites, heavy metals, mold, spike proteins. Oh my gosh, it's insane, the spike proteins from the COVID vaccine. Regardless if you got it or if you didn't get it, you should look into this because it affects so many people and they don't even realize it. But he's looking at all these things, and that's what he's testing. So that's like truly getting to the root cause. Why is my stomach hurting, right? I finally found something that like made it not hurt as much, but it was just a Band-Aid at the end of the day. So now I'm actually like clearing out my body of the root cause of so many issues that I had, you guys. Like not only stomach issues, brain fog. I can't even tell you how hard it was to come up with words so many different times. And
wow. And what is the H one?
Oh, the HOCAT. Oh my gosh, I hope I explained this right. But after you do lymphatic drainage, which is opening up all your pathways, which is so many people's problems too, you guys. Like so many people are not detoxing because they're clogged up. So you get this massage where they're, and you gotta go to somebody who knows what they're doing too, because there's a lot of places out there that do not do what they're supposed to. So anyways, you go through this massage, and then afterwards, you go into this like chamber thing. You go in, you're naked. It kind of like goes up to your neck, and It's almost like a steam room inside of here or inside of the chamber, and it helps you because now everything's open. It helps everything pull everything out. So
Nice.
I'm probably not describing it like
No, that
totally
makes
exactly
sense.
how it is, but you want to make sure you're doing that after lymphatic drainage. And I really think those two mixed with colonics frequently while you're detoxing helps speed up the process and like helps everything move along.
Wow. Well, congratulations. You're almost to the end of this horrific
I hope
battle
so.
you've had.
I told him,
Oh,
I'm like, you're stuck with me forever. I don't even know what I'm gonna do if something
exactly.
happens to
It's
you.
like you're not going out of my sight.
I know. So yeah, I mean, the holistic journey is wild. So
Yeah,
you asked
there's so
me,
much out there.
I
It's
know.
great.
So, anyways, you guys, this has been so much fun having you on. And I want to make sure I have a really fun question for you. I'm super excited to hear you. I ask this question like every so often, but I'm excited to hear your answer because I think it's going to be a fun one. Okay, so in 2026, if you had to go in business with anybody, who would it be? Hopefully, like a celebrity or an influencer.
Yeah. Well, who comes to mind right away would be Barbara Corcoran. We're with Corcoran.
Yeah.
I'm one of the offices in one of our offices are in California. We're partners with 29 offices. Haven't met her yet, but yeah, Corcoran is our brand, and that would be pretty fun to go into business with Barbara.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I'm sure she's going to love hearing that.
And it's so funny because we started our own company in 2009 during the recession with our partners, and people are like, "It's a recession. You're starting a new company." We're like, "Yeah, but we might not have another opportunity at another time. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to our old company." But when my daughter, who's now 31, was 6, we went to visit the Corcoran office. We were loosely related, two different companies, but because we were both small, we were kind of loosely had some kind of a relationship. So I remember going to the office when my daughter was so young, and it was just such a great experience in New York. And they showed us all this one guy showed us all these amazing places, and I just always liked the brand and followed the brand. So it was cool 5 years ago to merge with Corcoran.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Well, I've had a blast getting to know you. I can't wait to continue to get to know you. I can't wait to check out all your books. If people want to follow you on social media, what's the best way for them to do that?
If they just Google Debbi DiMaggio, DEBBI, no E, DiMaggio, DI, capital MAGGIO, or DebbiDiMaggio.com, Instagram, Debbi DiMaggio, pretty much Debbi DiMaggio.
You'll find
But
her.
also pre-order my book at
Yeah.
mindsetinmotionbook.com.
Yes, we'll for sure put this in our Facebook group with 40,000 amazing moms in real estate, and you are going to do amazing when it launches.
Thank you so much, sweetie. I look forward to having you on my podcast.
Oh, me too. All right, bye. Thanks, friend, for listening to the podcast. We love having you in our community. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a review or share it with a friend. Also, we'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Go follow us at Moms in Real Estate.